People with tats, do you get dirty looks from other people? My grandma had always hated my boyfriend because of his tattoos, and she lets him know every time he's around. My boyfriend literally has the heart of gold, despite how scary he looks. He has tattoos and piercings head to toe, but each one had a deeper story involved that made him so much more interesting. For example, he had a tattoo of a large forest to remind him of the times he went camping with his friends back in high school. He had 2 large claw mark tattoos on his back to remind him of his 2 cats that had already passed on a few years ago. Unfortunately, my grandma refused to hear about any of his stories. Instead, she tells him that it's vandalism on your body. My boyfriend never fought back and laughed it off, thanking her for her opinion. At each visit, she would constantly boss him around while talking about how much she didn't like his tattoos. It made me think that she really hated him, which made me sad. But a recent incident completely changed my view on their relationship. We once accompanied my grandma to buy some groceries. We stopped by a gas station so that she could pick up a few cooked snacks on the way home. But while we were waiting in line, a hooded man stepped in and tried to rob the store along with all the people inside. Once he got close to my grandma, my boyfriend stopped in and somehow disarmed the man. He pinned him down and asked the cashier to call the cops and find something that we could use to tie the robber up. Once he was sure the robber was secured, he went around and checked on everyone's condition, returning a few of the things that had been taken to the others at the store. He sat around beside the robber and waited for the cops to arrive. However, instead of looking at him like a hero, they questioned my boyfriend and tried to handcuff him, all because he looked different from everyone else in the store. My grandma stepped in and stopped them before I could, explaining in a shaky voice, "That's my grandson. He's a good person and did nothing wrong. He helped stop the robbery. If you're gonna take him, I'm coming with." She linked her arms around his arm and stood firm, even though the cops could very easily drag them both out of the store. They put their hands up and apologized to my grandmother, letting my boyfriend go. She bravely stopped them one more time and said, "Young men, you should apologize to my grandson, not to me." They awkwardly looked back at my grandma and gave a quick, unbothered apology before walking away with the actual robber. The entire time I stood still, amazed at how protective the 2 most important people in my life were. Tears started welling in my eyes, and I rushed over to hug them. We quickly left the gas station, and on the way home, my grandma made comments about my boyfriend's tattoos. But this time, instead of saying anything hurtful, she commented that, "Those darn cops took one look at you and your tattoos and tried to whisk you away. How dare they judge a book by the cover?" I laughed and said, "Well, Nana, you also kind of did the same before." She shook her head and responded, "No, I always knew your boyfriend was a good person. I just really hate his tattoos." He grinned, happy to hear her honest opinion. He asked, "Well, what if I get a tattoo of you too?" She thought about it and agreed, "I think that would be the only one I like."